welcome to Fury Models Kit Review Time. Today we've got the HPH Models 1/32 scale Mr. ME410A-1. Now, I know what you're thinking, it's resin, Phil, whoa, and all the frightening things that go with it. Okay, a couple of things with resin. First of all, resin isn't like it used to be. These aren't chewed up bits of toffee, these are actually extremely high quality engineered kits that go together pretty well with mediocre modelling skills. You don't have to be a total pro at this and all the rest of it, just taking your time, test fitting a lot of bits and going through the motions of it. The other thing as well, resin, don't worry too much about if you break bits. The great thing with resin, it snaps, it's a clean break. Touch a super glue, you push them together, it is totally seamless. Plastic's harder to go with. If you bend plastic, you're trying to get it to back in the right shape, and then you're going to end up with sinking and, you know, obviously filling and everything else like that. So actually, resin isn't as bad as you actually think. Okay, the other thing as well, HPH, limited run company, really expensive. Again, don't forget this is a 1/32 scale kit. The quality and the parts, as you'll see throughout this entire build, are sort of second to none. Also, I like HPH Models. I think they're one of those companies, very much like Edard, which have a real family feel to them. You watch the videos about them, you see how they work. You know, they're very open about their process, about what they're doing, what they're up to, and everything else. And that, I think, is brilliant for a limited run company, because let's face it, this isn't mainstream. It is a little bit more expensive, but you are going for that limited area where people who do want an ME410 and all the rest of it. But sometimes I feel that there's more work gone into this particular type of kit and all the bigger stuff that they do than actually some of the bigger AAA manufacturers out there who have got a wealth of experience with CAD and designers. And like I say before, a lot of these people who work for these big AAA companies have no modelling knowledge whatsoever. They're very good at what they do, especially with computer work and stuff like that, with all the CAD work that now goes into model making. But it's nice when you have smaller companies who have a passion for what they do. So even to the way that they package things, going through the motions of it and everything else like that, it has that real sort of family warm glow to it, and not that cold corporate feel that sometimes you can get with the larger companies. So anyway, enough waffling, let's have a look around at this giant box. So as you can see, it is literally a box with a sticker on it. I'm not going to bother going around the box because, let's face it, you're not actually going to get anything in here. But what you do get in here is this, and this is what we were saying about the actual the feel to it and all the rest of it, that lovely warm glow when you open up the box and you see everything down in here. Now there's a couple of things just to mention. First of all, you're not going to get a manual, but you do get it on a disc. This is a great thing. It cuts down the cost, and let's face it, people with normally laptops and stuff like that, you can pop it on there and you can do it. Also, I think all their manuals as well are available online, so if you just want to put it on your tablet or even on your phone, you can do it that way, or you can do it as this is Matthew. Sorry, Matthew sent me. This isn't my kit. Also, I have to thank Matthew Beaton, who has sent me his couple of kits for these. They're not mine, but he has printed them out. Okay, which we will have a thumb through in a moment. So again, it is that thing. It's sort of embracing new technologies and old and everything else like that. You always get the, which he's eaten, I just like to point this out, this wasn't me, this is the first time I've opened the box. You do get a chocolate in there as well, which I think is a lovely little touch. All of their models do come with a chocolate. Okay, and I think we've got some very nice bits and pieces down here as well. So we've got some little metalwork, we've actually got some cutting sets, we've got photo etch, and obviously we've got the decals down there, which we'll look at in a moment. We've got the little brochure about obviously everything that HPH do, and they do some really very nice stuff, and I must admit I am still itching to do the Catalina at some point. Okay, and then you literally step in to my office, so to speak, and you have this beautifully done box. Everything is nicely laid out, all the parts counts are literally down in here. As I say, we've got the clear parts down in here, we've got more resiny bits, as you can see, down in here, and all the parts are literally like that. So what we do, we just move this to the side for one moment, and then we'll make our way through the entire thing. So starting off with, we have the manual. As I said, it is printed out. You can double print it as well, both sides, if you wanted to do it. But basically, the great thing about this particular one is, not only do you have all the parts laid out, showing you exactly where they are and everything else, but you should work your way through with everything we could go in. Okay, so we've got showing the photo etch that comes with it, we've got the colour photo etch and everything else, we've got the mask sets, Okay, we've got your colour call-outs, as you can imagine, just working your way through there, and then obviously some assembly information, and then going through the motions. Now, as I say, I'm not going to go through every one of these, but what I do like about these kits is they're using the real parts. This isn't like CAD, and they're just showing you, yeah, it goes sort of there and all the rest of it. It's got the parts. And I find that easier to use, certainly with resin, than you do when you're using them with other things. So showing you the placement of all the photo etch and the various things going down in here. And as I say, you've got some very nice call outs as this all goes together. Now I will skip through some of this because it goes on for absolute ever. But again, it's talking about the alignments and glue problems and fitting and everything else like that. But because it's showing you on the real thing, you can get a better feel for where things go. I just think it's a lot easier going through the motions of doing this, and I am skipping through, so there is a lot more. And again, when you're adding the photo thing, it's got a little thing about, obviously it's saying about the shoulders with the metal parts of things, the pins and everything else, and it's showing you exactly where they go. Again, very nice touch indeed. Same with the gear down here, talking about all the different areas, all the different photo etch parts going down in there, working right the way through. And again, as you can see, these are highly detailed. Turned brass, aluminium barrels, things like that. Again, a very nice touch, and then working your way through. So again, it's one of those things where you can understand in some ways why they don't want to print this, because if you used to print this, it would literally be a magazine. Beautiful little touches here, showing about the actual dimensions of the gear and the degrees of obviously lean. So we're talking 8 degrees. Okay, so they're going to be tilted in. All right, and then obviously showing you the completed model and how you should be looking. And then obviously we've got things like your paint schemes and decal call outs running through this one. Okay, and obviously you've got your color call outs and obviously the different squiggle patterns if you're feeling very brave. Okay, and then right the way through like that. So in some ways you can forgive the thing about not having it, because if this was a printed manual, it would have to be in colour obviously and all the rest of it, and then it's going to cost and going to add a great deal of money, because don't forget, these are sort of limited run kits and all the rest of it. These aren't just mass produced and they've got a warehouse full of them. They tend to do runs of them at a time and things like that. Next up we have the goodies. Okay, so the goodies down in here, we have, start off with, we have these beautiful, I'm going to be really odd now, I've got a clue what these are, but they're very nice. So they're actually aluminium, turned aluminium with these spikes on the end. Very nice touch indeed, although I don't know what they are, but I'm sure that somebody does. A type of rocket. These are the really nice ones. So down in here you can see we've got the barrels turned. Looks like a hypodermic needle, that one. But as you can see, very nicely done in brass, very nicely done as well. So we've even got all the turned bits and pieces in there like that, okay, which add beautiful detail. You can see all the holes in this little guy been drilled into it as well. Very nice indeed, okay. Now these sets here, don't worry too much about if this happens, it's very, very normal. We spoke to Ron about this, because obviously Ron does a lot of these types of things. Yeah, they do shrink. When they're actually on this sort of plastic, they can shrink back. It's the difference between paper and plastic, but they're pretty good anyway, so don't worry about it too much. Colour photo etch set, as we said, for the cockpit, so you've got a beautiful colour photo etch set down there. Obviously it is by Edard, so you know you're going to be getting there. And we've got the harnesses for the HPH set, which is right here. So these are the fabric ones, we've used them before. Beautiful thing is they are so natural the way they hang. Warm them up, put them in your hands, rub the hell out of them, and you'll be good to go. Okay, so they're very nice indeed. Then we got a full photo etch one. Again, it is Edard, so you are assured the sort of quality. Beautiful stuff on that, very, very thin. Okay, so we have one of them. And then we have the decal sheet, which not sure who's printed it, but it doesn't look too bad at all. Okay, so that's pretty good. No problems there. All seems to be lined up, very nice. And actually even these walkway markways, they're very, very fine. There's not a lot of carrier film all the way around them. In fact, all the parts are minimal carrier film, which is really nice, because that's going to really limit your silvering right the way through that. But you could obviously opt, if you wanted to, and spray the markings on, if you wanted to go down on that route. Okay, so again, full multimedia kit. This isn't just one of those shake and bake type things, or something where you get the kit and then you have to think about obviously all the aftermarket afterwards. That's why, again, you are paying somewhat of a premium price, but this is where it really gets good. Now, where to start? Let's start on the fuselage. So, we actually have the fuselage. Now, again, flash, don't worry about it. It's very straightforward. You can see the cut mark where you're going to be cutting that out and losing that. And again, it's very easy to do. You can just literally carve it with a knife and press it and it pops off. Same with the rear as well. This is a large chunk, so you are going to physically have to cut these ones. But these little ones down in here, again, they're just going to cut clean off and you'll be good to go with it. Okay, so no problems with those whatsoever. It is resin. This isn't injection molding. Okay, so at the end of the day, you might get the odd wobble, riveting goes a little bit awry and everything else. But again, the quality issue with these particular kits, they're usually very, very good. So when you're looking down, obviously at it down here, you can see some of that nice detail on there. But if we pop in a little bit closer, you can actually see all the riveting detail coming through. Very nicely done indeed. Again, working right the way down, you've got all the beautiful recessed details. Again, very, very nice. Okay, and then on the inside, so obviously where the tail wheel goes in, we've got a little bit of framework and formal work going down in there. And again, we've got the starts for obviously your inside with the cockpit, so we've got the actual sidewall framing and obviously a little bit down here on the floor as well. So that's very nice indeed. Exactly the same, it's going to be basically a mirror on the other side. Very nice indeed. And then again on the other side, very nice all the way through. Again, it's one of those things, I think a lot of people are terrified when you mention the word resin. This type of cleanup, especially you get this down in here, again, it's one of those things, it is sort of minimal cleanup. You have got, you know, various things you can actually do, but when you just line these things up, it's like a mile away from itself. Okay, and you think, oh god, what's going to go on? But by the time you get in here and you clean these up, sandpaper on these, flat across, and then just sand down, just take down the edge, test fit until you get there. It's very easy because it's easy to work with resin as a material. The only thing is health and safety and all the rest of it. So if you are firing around with the old resin, we have to mention it, then obviously a respirator, or do it outside as a minimum with a paper mask. But if you have got a respirator, it's a good thing. I'm not saying doing one of these is going to kill you, but if you're doing one a sort of couple of times a year, it's not going to do your lungs any good at all. Okay, so what I'm going to do is place these back very carefully. As I say, it's not mine, so I'm trying to be uber gentle with all of these things. Okay, so let's sit that one down in there. Now I can go across in there. Okay, so I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to work my way around. So this is all the bags. So we've got a couple of bags down in here. So again, some of this stuff will be reinforced, some of it won't. When we say reinforced, you can see down in here, we've actually got a piece of brass going through. Now if it's to the sides and stuff, I wouldn't panic because it's still part of the mold, but as you can see, very large chunky blocks, but I assume that's the gear leg. Okay, as we're working our way around, so let's just move some of this. We can see the cockpit detail already without the colour photo etch, to be honest. Very nice indeed, no problem with that. Okay. We've got some of the other areas, so we've got a little bulkhead down here. Looks like we've lost an aerial coming off of here. This is the only thing being big bags, but again, it's resin, touch of super glue, and it falls back together. We've got a little air scoop down in here, again, full riveting detail, all those things, no problem at all. I don't know, a couple of doors. Again, very, very thin. This is as thin as you'll find when you're dealing with any type of injection molding as well. Okay, got a little door, or a little trim tab, I think that is actually. Okay, so some more of the stuff. Looks like we've got guns down in here. So don't forget we have got the metal barrels and everything else. There's a gun, the actual side pods that go on the sides, I do believe, for the sort of rear and upward firing, lower firing guns. Nicely done. As you can see, all of these parts beautifully done, clean, crisp, precise. Even if it looks a bit ropey, the actual parts themselves, no problem at all. We've actually got the weld seam on these. Obviously they're not going to be hollowed because of what they are, but they have got little dips in there to start you off if you want to clean them up a little bit further. And again, some of the parts, I've got a feeling that guy might have broken. So again, never throw away anything you find in the bottom of the bag, okay, because the chances are it could be useful. Another trim tab, a couple more exhausts, we've seen those, we've seen the air scoop, we've seen the rear. We've got some of the boxes for the communications, I guess, and stuff like that, as you can see, with the wiring looms all in there already. Okay, just ready to be painted up. And we've got a couple of, again, very fine works moulded on. Again, taking your time, just popping in here with a blade, not cutting, okay, and then just wiggle and they'll pop off in one. Some of the other parts, again, some more barring. That's that bar that was missing. That's what we're saying about being careful with these, not throwing them away, because otherwise you can lose it. But that's the one, I'm guessing, that was on the side of this little guy. Okay, we've seen those, we've seen those, we've seen those. Again, some more work down in the insides, things like that. We've got a couple of the actual seats and the control grips. Again, very nice indeed. And I think we've seen most of those before. Okay, but again, this is what, if you can see in the big shot, we've got these down in here. Now the thing is with these is you're not quite sure what's a broken bit and what isn't, so even little bits like this I will keep them all and they will all go back in the bag, because the amount of times I thought, oh, that's a little bit of rubbish, actually it's probably not, has been high, very, very high. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'll just pop these back in here. Okay, so next bag, again, it's all the flat stuff. Okay, so we got things, I think this is maybe the gun hub rather than a wheel hub, could be a wheel hub. Okay, so we got those done just like that. Okay, again, pretty simple, easy to get off, because all you're going to do is sand it off. So pop them down, flat sandpaper, and just sand them clean off. Same goes with the wheel hubs. Again, nice detail, we've got a little bit of hosing work, various things going down in there, no problem at all. And again, more gear work, I assume, lumps and bumps and things. Okay, some more little rod work, we've seen that one. Got, I think that's the tail wheel assembly and some of the areas around there. Again, very nicely done indeed. And again with these guys, very, very nice. I assumed at some point this probably sat in there like that, I'm just guessing, but you know, just the shape. Okay, some more parts, beautifully done. And these guys, some little form work. Okay, so again, very nice riveting detail, but even these little tiny parts off the sides, beautifully done. And again, we've got some more work around those. Another little hoop coming through. And again, if you get the blue in there, you can just drill that out. What that is the mould. It's the actual rubber mould stuck in the end. So you can just drill those out, and again, beautiful detail on this wiring and stuff like that. That's very, very nice indeed. Okay, and again, we've got another bit there. Very nice indeed. Let's get them popped back, keep them all safe. Okay, so we've got the clear parts. Now the clear parts are injection molded resin, which sounds as if it's horrendous, but actually, these days, it's not as bad as it used to be. Bit of a clumsy bag to get it out of. But it can be a little bit scratchy, but again, this is that thing. Once it's dipped, this stuff goes absolutely beautiful. Again, it's complex shapes, so actually it's probably better off being done in resin like this than it would be trying to put it together. But generally, as you can see, it's not too bad. By the time this has been dipped, I think it'll be crystal clear and you'll have no problems with it at all. Generally, the level of detail is very, very good. Okay, as you can see in these parts, all of these, and again, some of them, this is very clear. No problem with that one at all. That was a particularly good pull. And again, you can't get this guaranteed with everyone, but some things are easier to do than others. Some moulds are better than others. So, you know, some things, like up here, you don't matter. I think that's coloured in anyway. It's only the side parts. Very nice indeed. Again, that one's a beautiful pull. That one's lovely and clear. And then we got these little guys just over here. So down in here we've got a little bit of armoured glass, one would assume. Beautifully clear, no problem there. Another piece, I'm assuming that's armour glass because it's really, really thick, as you can see. And then we've got rear part, and then we've got navigation lights for the wingtips, just like that. And we've got a couple of little guys down in here, which I assume are rear light, is it, or something maybe? I don't know, maybe cockpit stuff. There we go, here's those. Very nice, again, beautifully done. Very cleverly moulded and produced in direct resin. Okay, so we've got this going down in here, which we're assuming is the engine nacelle. Again, looks rough as hell, but by the time this is cleaned up, sanded in and everything else, have no problem at all with it. Perhaps maybe a little bit of rescribing on this guy, but again, you've got the lines there, so it's pretty straightforward to follow it through. Again, they are marked right, so you have got your right and lefts on there. No problem with those at all. Very nice indeed. Again, this is one of those things where you'll have this model knowing that if you took it to a show, chances are you won't see many of them. Alright, Telford and things like that, you might find a couple, but generally at the show you won't. Okay, now big bag of stuff, heavyweight stuff. This is a heavy bag of resin. Okay, so one-piece cast fuel tanks, literally. I haven't seen them do that before. So again, a little bit of clean-up work with them, but generally no problem at all. So we've got a couple of those in there. One-piece cast spinners. Okay, so very nice done. Good riveting detail all the way around those. So we've got a couple of those. We have tyres. Okay, so you've actually got the tyres themselves. Nicely done. Okay, and we've got another one of those. We've got the inner part of the spinner end cap type things. So we've got two of those, big heavy piece of it. I'm not sure what that is, if I'm honest. So yes. And again, radiator ducts, ready to have the photo etch put onto those. Again, very nicely done. You've got some little radiator work on the edges. Very, very thin. You can actually see light through it. Okay, another bit there. A block with some various parts on it. Okay, tail wheel. Needs a little bit of sorting out in there. That's all good. And again for the other side, and we've got this little guy down in here. Not sure what that is either. Okay, and these are just rubbishy bits. So I think we're clear to get rid of those. Okay, and then in the other bag, I'll do these as a separate and put them all away. I was wondering where the props were, I've just spotted them. Okay, that's good. So, if we move this to this side, we'll rotate around. So, we've got the tail planes, again, beautiful. As you can see, all the riveting detail down in there like that, which is really nice on both sides. We've got the flaps, so we've got the inside part of the flaps looking very nice. You can actually see the scratch parts in the mould where it's been sanded on the inside. Your camera can pick that up just a little bit, see it there? So it just shows how good the moulding quality is. And again, on the outside, this actually part has been polished, completely polished. Has got a little bit of mould agent on there. Okay, very nicely done indeed. Props, so you're wondering where they were. So we have the props, very nice, no problem with those at all. Okay, we've got multiple props. Different colour resin, assuming this is around the actual engine itself. Detail on the outside, inside and outside, which again, very nice touch indeed. Cowl covers, so again, nicely done, very nice riveting detail. Hopefully the camera can catch this in the light, because it's a very shiny part if we're honest, but there is covered in riveting detail with that as well. That's really very, very nice indeed. Yeah, not sure where this goes, but this is the bar here, obviously running through. Again, riveting detail all on these areas. Very nice. Okay, so we got more tail planes there. Sorry, they're probably ailerons actually. Okay, again. See, once these parts, they might look quite ropey, but by the time you had a quick clean up with them, I think it'd be absolutely fine. Again, I'm not feeling tons of it, but I would highly recommend that you actually give this all a wash first, a little bit of soapy water, and then you'll be good to go. Okay, again, the other flap, nicely done. Got a bubble on this one. Okay, you can see it down in there. That's be a bubble in the mould. It's not in, it's out, so you could just easily sand that off. That's not a problem. Okay, so we've got ailerons. I was actually looking for the tail. There's your tail. So the other part was the rudder. Again, you can probably see this is actually release agent all over this. This is why we do wash the parts. Speaking about it, I was saying about these are quite clean, but that is what that is. That is literally just a release agent all over this. So it probably won't do it with just a little wipe, but you know, it just needs to be cleaned up a little bit first, because the thing is, if you try and spray onto that, you can have all types of problems. Okay, as the release agent will repel the especially if you're using acrylic paint. So we've got the right side, got the little R on there. Very nicely done down there again. So very nice with all of those parts indeed. Here's your ailerons. Beautifully done. Very nice, clean. Yeah, no problems at all with any of it. It's just one of those things. It is resin. It is multimedia kits, we were saying. So you are going to need to spend just a little bit of time just getting to sort of grips with it all, cleaning up the parts, taking your time with it. You know, you could probably spend a couple of evenings just taking the parts off of the actual the sprues, then sanding them in, shaping them and everything else. But to be honest, it's all part of working with these, you know, basically primary resin kits and making your way right the way through with them. Otherwise, what's going to happen is, if you don't, you're going to end up with 100 fit issues and various bits and pieces. If you're thinking of taking little shortcuts with these kits, that is where it's going to come back and it will bite you. Is that literally, it's just a case of taking your time, test fitting, dry fitting. If it's working dry fitting, you know you're going to have no problems at all with it. Okay, so last up, the good bit, we have the wings. Now this is something to always impress me with these larger kits, the way that they've managed to get these out of the moulds and the thinness. If you can see how this actually flexes and bends, you'll understand what I mean, that they managed to keep this thing in perfect alignment. If we lay this down, it is flat. Okay, I hate to think what these things will look like in 50 years time when people try and buy them. So obviously you're going to be cutting out this area here, you'll be putting your own aileron, obviously all off the front, going to whip round, but what you will be left with is actually something gorgeous. The detail that's on the surface of this wing, as you can see, and we are talking resin, this is as good as anything you will find in styrene. Okay, very, very nice indeed. Then down on the inside we've got a little bit of works obviously from the wheel well. Looking up, you'll be able to see in there as well. Okay, so very, very nice. Exactly the same on the other side. Beautifully done. Very nice indeed. So it's a 2013 kit. It's got that little mark on it down in there. Then, to try and dig it out, the big one. Now this is very, very impressive. So we're going to need a big camera angle. Hopefully this is all in here. Yeah, so you're going to do a little bit of work on this one, obviously. The great thing with this is you can actually see, well, one, where there's sellotape been put in the mould, you can actually see that picks it up. That's how well it does it. Incredible work. The surface detail, so you get a size for this guy, so it is actually going to be 51 centimeters across this lump. Beautifully done. So obviously you are going to be cutting all of those off. These are going to be coming off, and this centre area, so don't worry about these tape marks and all the rest of it. And again, a little bit of clean-up required, all just around the back of the mould, as you can see down in here and everything. But once you've got all this off and chomped through, it'll be good to go. But as you can see, it's very thick, which is good, because it's going to hold this correct alignment. Otherwise, it's going to warp and bend over the years. But when you get into the nitty-gritty of it, and you're looking, the way that they've actually put these panels that are raised onto the surface of it, they look quite rough, but again, I'm assuming that by the time it's got a primer coat on it and you level it all out, it will look beautifully done. And again, catching it in the light, you can see the differences in there. This isn't tape, by the way. There isn't actually tape here. It's just tape in the mould, and then it's moulded the tape, which is very clever. Absolutely gorgeous. Very nice detail right the way across this one. Trying to catch him in the light so you get, there we go, get a good angle of what's going on. Beautiful details right the way through. And there we go, unless there's something in here I haven't seen. No, I think we're all clear. Crikey, we'll have to fight to get all this back in the box in a moment. But there we go, that is the HPH beautiful ME410. Again, it's one of those aircraft, you don't see too many of them, so to have a 32nd one again is going to be an absolute stunner. again, it's not a kit for the beginner. You are going to have to take your time. When you're working with resin, and especially resin kits like this, it's one of these things. You're going to be sanding very slowly, test fitting, sand a bit more, test fit, because there's nothing worse when you go too far. But working with resin, it's a soft material, it's easy to sand. You just pop in there with sanding sticks and sanding sponges, and you can eat through this stuff very, very easily. But remember, if you are doing a lot of it, and you are going to be doing quite a bit in this particular kit, a respirator, resin, it's not nice. You don't want to be breathing it in. Don't forget, it is a fibrous product. It will stick to your lungs like Velcro, okay? So from that point of view, think a little bit of safety. If you can, majority of the cleanup work, stuff like that, use a knife, okay? So you're going to be coming along with these areas down here, run a blade down it, okay, couple of light passes, don't go pushing through it and all the rest of it, but when you do go through, you can do like we've got here is, I don't think John will mind, Matt will mind, but I'm just going to do it. So all you do is just going to come along, very light little passes, and then you're just going to come along, light little passes, and then you can physically just pop the part out just like that, and then you've got a tiny little bit of cleanup down in there. So then all you're going to do is grab yourself a sander, okay, and you're just going to pop in, and that's it, simple as that. Okay, so it's not as big a deal as you might be thinking. You might be thinking, oh, it's a lot of cleanup and a lot of work and everything else. It's not. It's just one of those things you want to take your time with and just work through it very, very slowly, very methodically, following along with the instructions. But again, you might want to deviate from them because of painting reasons and everything else like that. So in that way, you know, just make your way through sub-assemblies, working your way through all the parts, and you're going to end up with something exceptionally special. As I said, I do love HPH Models. I find them very much a warm company. They are lovely people to work with and everything else like that. Saying that, I've never built one of theirs, but as I said, I have got this dream of doing their giant Catalina one day, and when I find a bit of time in my schedule, I will definitely be having a go at that one. So there we go, that is HPH 132nd ME 410.